Have you ever paused for a moment to reflect on what your life could look like if you decided to release the burdens that no longer contribute to your overall well-being? Picture this. A life where the weight of stress gradually melts away, where each day unfolds with a refreshing sense of ease and a wealth of joy. What if you could unlock the secrets to truly living your best life by simply letting go of certain habits and embracing a newfound sense of freedom? Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we are embarking on an enlightening journey into the lives of 6 extraordinary individuals over the age of 70 who have joyfully removed some unexpected items from their to-do lists. Trust us when we say that they are absolutely reveling in the positive outcomes of these changes. From letting go of the latest fashion trends to confidently saying no without a twinge of guilt, these inspiring narratives will not only entertain you but also impart invaluable lessons that you can incorporate into your own life. Why should you stick around until the very end? Because you will discover practical tips that can help you reduce stress, boost your happiness, and live more authentically. Moreover, you'll hear heartwarming and occasionally hilarious anecdotes that demonstrate it's never too late to make positive changes. Whether you are approaching your golden years or simply seeking to simplify your life, this video is sure to offer something meaningful for everyone. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired by the wisdom and freedom that often accompany the journey of aging. Together, let's delve into how the act of letting go can lead to a richer, more fulfilling existence. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly encourage you to do so and activate the notification bell so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Your support truly means the world to me. If you enjoy this video, you can help me continue to share these valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you resonate with the topic of this video, please comment 1. If not, feel free to comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and create better content for you. Now let's dive right in. Thing number 1. You don't need to pretend to care about trends. Let's discuss trends, something many of us have fallen prey to at various stages in our lives. We often pursue the latest fashion or tech craze, convinced that possessing that one item will somehow enhance our connection to the world around us. We splurge on the hottest gadgets, the flashiest clothes, and the trendiest accessories, only to find ourselves standing before our closets, grappling with a profound emptiness inside. Those shiny items don't genuinely reflect who we are at our core. But here's the beauty of it. When you reach the age of 70, a remarkable transformation occurs. You begin to shed the need to conform to what others are doing. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You release the pressure to adhere to the ever-shifting whims of society. Instead, you start to live life on your own terms, realizing that what truly matters is doing what brings you joy. Take Judy, for instance. At 73, Judy was once a woman consumed by the latest trends. For decades, she chased after fashion and technology as if they defined her very essence. She was the woman who wore heels that caused her feet to ache after just a few hours, convinced that they epitomized elegance. She would purchase the newest smartphone even if she had no idea how to navigate half its features. Yet despite the countless times she struggled to set up the latest gadget or winced in pain from her uncomfortable shoes, she persevered, convincing herself it was worth it simply because it was what everyone else was doing. Judy was living in a world where style was dictated by others rather than defined by her own preferences. Then one morning everything changed. She woke up, took a long, hard look at her life, and had a profound realization. She didn't have to suffer for the sake of fashion. She didn't have to pretend anymore. It wasn't about keeping up with what was in or impressing others. It was about being comfortable in her own skin. That moment of clarity transformed everything for Judy. She made a decision that many of us struggle to make. She chose comfort over conformity. She tossed out those painful heels she once swore were worth the agony and never looked back. Today, her go-to outfit consists of a cozy, oversized sweater, soft, stretchy pants, and perhaps most importantly, a pair of fuzzy slippers. Yes, you heard that right. This is the same woman who once spent hours poring over fashion magazines, stressing over which shoes to wear and whether her latest purchase was on trend. Now, her daily ensemble revolves around comfort and contentment. It's simple, it's easy, and it brings her joy. And here's the kicker. Judy doesn't feel guilty about it at all. She has fully embraced the truth that comfort and joy should never be sacrificed for the fleeting allure of trends. I will never forget the day Judy showed up to a family reunion wearing her fuzzy slippers. It was as if we had stepped into a scene from a movie. There she was, surrounded by relatives, cousins, kids, grandkids, each of them dressed in fancy attire, their shoes gleaming and their hair perfectly styled. But Judy? She stood proudly in the midst of the crowd, rocking those slippers as if she had just stepped out of a high-end fashion show. She looked around at everyone's astonished faces, shrugged her shoulders and simply said, "Why suffer for style when comfort is the real luxury?" The room fell silent for a moment and then erupted in laughter. But Judy didn't care. She was basking in the freedom she had found by embracing her authentic self. You see, Judy has discovered a truth that so many people spend their entire lives pursuing. Style is not about the latest fashion or trying to fit in. It's about confidence, comfort, and living in a way that makes your heart happy. Here's my takeaway. If more of us adopted this mindset, if we let go of the need to impress and instead focused on finding peace, joy, and simplicity, we'd all feel a little lighter, a little freer, and most importantly, a lot more like ourselves. Life is too short to be shackled by trends. The real beauty lies in comfort, confidence, and embracing the things that genuinely bring us true happiness. I hope we can all learn from Judy's courageous decision to live life on her own terms, because at the end of the day, that's what truly matters. Thing number 2. You don't need to say yes to every invitation. The younger years, when the world often feels like a stage and you're expected to be in the spotlight at every turn. There's this relentless urge to be everywhere, to do everything, and to say yes to every invitation that comes your way. It's almost as if your worth is measured by how busy you are or how many social events you can attend. But then something changes as you reach the beautiful age of 70. That heavy pressure to keep up with the hustle and bustle begins to fade away, almost as if it were never there at all. And this, my friends, is where the real freedom begins. Take Fred, for example. At 76, he was once the life of every party, the spark in every social gathering. If there was an event happening, you could always count on Fred to show up, tell jokes, share stories, and make everyone feel included. He was that guy carrying a bottle of wine, cracking open a cold drink, and taking over the dance floor as if the music were custom-made for him. But as time passed, Fred came to an important realization. While those parties were filled with laughter and energy, they never truly nourished his soul. The conversations often felt shallow, the music too loud, and the endless appetizers began to feel like nothing more than distractions. Those once exciting parties started to feel more like obligations than joys. If you're still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know you're still with me. Now, Fred has become the undisputed king of the thanks but no thanks club. When he receives an invitation to a party, he no longer feels the need to say yes out of obligation. Instead, he has discovered a new rhythm in life. He lovingly declines invitations and chooses the quiet comfort of his own space. Why? Because Fred has uncovered something invaluable: peace. He now enjoys quiet evenings with a good book and his beloved cat, Whiskers. No small talk, no crowded rooms, just tranquility. He no longer has to engage in awkward conversations about the latest office gossip or feign interest in mundane chatter about the weather. Instead, Fred now sits in his favorite armchair, reading about the things that truly excite him while Whiskers lounges nearby. In those moments, Fred experiences a kind of bliss that no party or social gathering could ever match. Fred's new motto? The best parties are the ones you're not invited to. Honestly, how can anyone argue with that? There's something undeniably liberating about saying no without the heavy weight of guilt. Instead of racing through a packed social calendar, Fred now pours his energy into the things that bring him real joy, whether it's savoring a solo dinner at his favorite restaurant, binge-watching a beloved TV show, or simply enjoying a quiet moment alone. He has learned a powerful truth. Time is precious, and it's perfectly okay to cherish it by keeping some of it just for yourself. So, the next time you're faced with an invitation, remember Fred's hard-won wisdom. It's not about how many parties you attend or how often you show up at social events. It's about savoring the moments that truly matter. The ones where you can simply be yourself with no expectations, no noise, just a deep sense of peace and contentment. The best invitation you can ever accept is the one that invites you to a place of stillness within your own heart. And trust me, no party can offer you that kind of joy. Thing number 3. You don't need to follow a perfect routine. In our younger years, society bombards us with the notion that a perfect routine is the key to success and happiness. We push ourselves to wake up at the crack of dawn, hit the gym with the enthusiasm of a marathon runner, meditate as if we're training for enlightenment, eat a breakfast filled with green smoothies, and keep pushing through a list of should-dos that never seems to end. It's as if we believe that if we don't check off each item, we are somehow failing. But then, something magical happens when you hit 70. The pressure to be perfect starts to fade away, and suddenly, a life full of rigid rules and expectations seems a lot less important. This shift, a sweet release from the chains of perfection, is something I believe everyone deserves to experience. Just look at Gail, a 72-year-old woman who once embodied the word routine. She is living proof of the freedom that comes with letting go of the need for perfection. Gail was the queen of discipline. She would rise at 5:30 a.m. sharp, bounding out of bed as if the day owed her something. Her mornings consisted of a brisk walk, a yoga session that seemed to defy the laws of flexibility, a nutrient-packed smoothie, and a meticulously planned agenda that could have rivaled a corporate CEO's calendar. Gail believed that this regimented lifestyle was the secret to staying youthful, energized, and thriving. She thought that if she adhered to her schedule, everything would fall into place and life would remain vibrant. However, one fateful day after a particularly grueling yoga session, something inside her shifted. She paused, truly paused, and began to ask herself, why am I pushing myself so hard to fit into this box? What if I could just let life unfold without a plan? What if I could just be without all the rules? That was the moment everything changed. No longer bound by the need for a perfect schedule, Gail decided to embrace a more liberating approach to life. Now she rolls out of bed around 10 a.m., slowly slipping into her robe as if the world has all the time in the universe. There's no rush, no alarm clock dictating her every move. Some days she has coffee and some days she doesn't. The thought of adhering to a rigid routine has become a distant memory. She listens to her body and gives it what it desires without hesitation. Some days it's a leisurely breakfast, one where she savors every bite knowing there's no hurry. Other times it's a day spent in her pajamas, cozy and content, catching up on her favorite shows as if the world outside simply doesn't matter. And honestly, Gail has never felt more at peace. The truth is, she's discovered that some of the best mornings are the ones where nothing gets done. Why fight it? There's something wonderfully freeing about waking up and deciding that today is a day with no agenda. No early yoga, no rush to get out for a walk in the cold morning air, just pure, unadulterated freedom to exist without pressure. That's where the magic lies. Sometimes the most rejuvenating thing you can do is simply let go, relax, and embrace the beauty of doing absolutely nothing. Instead of ticking off tasks on a never-ending to-do list, Gail is now living in the moment. No stress, no perfection, just pure joy. For those of us who have spent years trying to live up to impossible standards, Gail's story is a powerful reminder. Life is too short to keep following a schedule that doesn't nourish your soul. There's something incredibly precious about allowing yourself to have a day, or even a morning, where you do absolutely nothing and feel no guilt for it. Some of the best days are the ones where you simply let yourself exist, just as you are, in the comfort of your own space, wearing your pajamas and completely free from the demands of a perfect routine. Gail's journey isn't just about abandoning a strict schedule. It's about embracing the wisdom that comes with age, that we deserve to slow down, to be kind to ourselves, and to savor the precious moments when we don't have to prove anything to anyone. If you've ever felt the pressure of trying to keep up with a perfect schedule or meet impossible expectations, take a deep breath and remember that sometimes, the most fulfilling thing you can do is nothing at all. And if you're fortunate enough to be in your later years, don't let anyone tell you that a leisurely morning in your robe isn't exactly what you need. It's more than enough. It's everything. Thing number 4. You don't need to keep up with the news. As the years go by, we often find ourselves wrapped up in the demands of staying informed. In today's world, with the constant flow of news, it's all too easy to become absorbed by the endless updates, disasters, and headlines screaming for attention at every corner. But something truly shifts when you reach your 70s. Suddenly, you realize that you don't have to consume every piece of news, every tragic event, or every fleeting moment of chaos to lead a peaceful and fulfilling life. It's a liberation that is both profound and transformative. Take Walter, a wise and thoughtful 74-year-old who exemplifies this shift in perspective. For years, Walter was glued to the TV every evening, religiously watching the news and trying to absorb every story, every economic report, and every bit of conflict unfolding in every corner of the globe. Initially, he thought it was his civic duty, a moral responsibility to stay aware of what was happening in the world. But as time passed, something began to feel different. Instead of being informed, the news was draining him. Each update, each new headline, and each story of tragedy and hardship seemed to pile on the weight of stress and anxiety in his heart. Slowly, the constant barrage of negativity began to affect his mental and emotional well-being. Then one evening, as he sat there once again absorbed in a cycle of distressing news, Walter had a powerful realization. A moment of clarity that felt like a breath of fresh air. Why put himself through all this anxiety? Why let the world's troubles invade his peace when he didn't need to? That was the moment he made a decision that would forever change his nightly routine. No more nightly news. Now Walter's evenings are filled with quiet joy. He no longer feels the need to check the latest headlines or refresh his news app. Instead, he settles into his favorite chair with a warm bowl of popcorn, ready to enjoy reruns of his beloved sitcoms. The Golden Girls and Cheers have become his comforting companions, episodes he's watched 100 times but never tires of. And you know what? He couldn't be happier. There's a kind of sweetness in watching familiar faces, basking in the comfort of laughter and escaping to simpler, lighter times. With every laugh and every heartwarming moment on screen, Walter's stress melts away, and his heart feels lighter. He's discovered the pure bliss of not knowing every detail about world events, and it has been one of the most refreshing changes of his life. Of course, Walter isn't living under a rock. He still knows the important updates about his loved ones and the occasional major world news. But he no longer allows every story, every crisis, to invade his peaceful evenings. Sometimes when he looks back, he marvels at how much better his life has become without the constant bombardment of bad news. It's as if the clouds parted, and he could finally see the beauty of just living in the moment. As Walter puts it with a wink and a smile, "I'd rather be laughing at Dorothy's sarcastic one-liners than worrying about the latest headline." And you know what? There's so much wisdom in that. There's something profoundly freeing in choosing peace over panic, in letting go of what we can't control, and embracing the simple joys that bring us comfort. Life is fragile, and the older we get, the more precious time becomes. Why waste it on the stress of a world we cannot fix? If you're still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment too below to let me know you're still here with me. So why not take a page out of Walter's book? There's immense value in stepping back from the news, in choosing peace, and in carving out time for the things that bring joy to your heart. The world may keep turning with all its chaos and drama, but we don't have to let it steal our happiness. Instead of allowing the news to dictate our mood, perhaps it's time to choose a little more laughter, a little more joy, and a lot more peace. Because at the end of the day, your mental and emotional well-being are far too important to be controlled by the headlines. Thing number 5. You don't need to be polite all the time. When we're younger, society places this overwhelming expectation on us to always be polite. It's as if your entire worth is wrapped up in how well you can smile through discomfort, nod along even when you disagree, and silence your true thoughts to avoid stepping on anyone's toes. It can feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, biting your tongue just to keep the peace. But here's the thing that hits you when you reach 70. Politeness is vastly overrated. As you grow older, you realize that the world doesn't need your fake smiles, nor does it require you to pretend to like things you don't. You might come to the liberating conclusion that being real, honestly, unapologetically real, is what truly matters. Take Ethel for instance. Now 77, she has learned this lesson the hard way, but also with a sense of empowerment and freedom that she never had in her younger years. Ethel spent much of her life being the polite one, the one who smiled and nodded no matter how uncomfortable or disinterested she felt. She would bite her tongue even when faced with situations that made her cringe, like eating yet another casserole from her daughter-in-law or pretending to enjoy conversations about things she had no interest in. She thought this was just part of being a good person, part of being liked. But one day Ethel reached a breaking point. Something inside her shifted, and she realized that living for others' approval was exhausting. She no longer wanted to carry the burden of politeness for the sake of keeping things easy. That moment came when she looked out at her neighbor's yard, a jungle of untamed weeds and overgrown grass that had been nagging at her for weeks. No more. Ethel couldn't bite her tongue any longer. The next time she saw her neighbor, she looked them square in the eye and said with complete honesty, "You know, you really should mow that lawn. It's starting to look like a safari out there." It was blunt, it was bold, and it felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. That was the moment she set herself free. Ethel's life didn't need to revolve around being the nice one anymore. She realized she didn't have to hold back just to avoid conflict. From that point on, she embraced her voice, telling the truth no matter how uncomfortable it made others. Her family was taken aback at first. They weren't used to her candor. But they came to appreciate it because it was Ethel. Genuine, straightforward, and unafraid to speak up. Take the time her daughter-in-law brought over another casserole. Ethel smiled politely at first but then simply said, "I appreciate the effort, dear, but I don't need another casserole. I've had enough to last a lifetime." It wasn't rude, it wasn't harsh, it was just honest. And while her daughter-in-law was a bit stunned by the comment, she could see that there was a small, secret sense of admiration behind the surprise. Ethel's bravery to speak her mind gave her a sense of empowerment she never thought possible. It made her feel lighter, like a weight had been removed from her chest. And it wasn't just about saying no to casseroles or mowing lawns. It was about reclaiming her right to live life on her terms, without the constant pressure of being polite. Now, Ethel doesn't hold back in any situation, whether it's about her neighbor's garden or her preferences. She speaks her truth, and you know what? People respect her for it. They admire her candor even if it's not always what they expect to hear. It's a stark reminder that life is too short to keep pretending. Why stay trapped in the cage of politeness when you could be free to live authentically, to speak honestly, and to finally express what you truly feel? So if you've ever found yourself biting your tongue, desperately trying to avoid stepping on anyone's toes or keeping the peace at the cost of your own peace of mind, take a page from Ethel's book. Embrace your voice. Be real. Because at the end of the day, the people who truly matter will respect you for your honesty. And trust me, there's nothing more satisfying than knowing that in your later years, you finally permitted yourself to just be you. Thing number 6. You don't need to keep apologizing. When we're younger, we're conditioned to apologize constantly, often for things that don't even warrant an apology. It's ingrained in us from childhood. You sneeze too loudly? Sorry. You bump into someone at the grocery store? Oh, I'm so sorry. Even just taking up too much space in a room can make us feel the need to apologize, as if our mere existence is somehow an inconvenience to others. But something truly beautiful happens when you reach the age of 70. You finally stop apologizing for every little thing, and in that moment, you start living more authentically than you ever have before. You realize that your presence in the world is not something to be ashamed of, but something to embrace. Take Harry, for example. At 70, he became a sort of local legend, not because of any grand achievement but because of a simple realization that changed everything. You see, Harry spent much of his life apologizing for nearly every action, no matter how small. If he sneezed too loudly, he'd mutter a quick apology as if his sneeze were a personal affront to those around him. If he accidentally bumped into someone at the store, he would immediately launch into a string of "Oh, I'm so sorry," even if the other person didn't seem bothered. Even if he stood in line too long, Harry would apologize, not because anyone cared but because he felt he had to. His sense of obligation to others' comfort overshadowed his own. But then one day Harry had a moment of clarity that completely transformed his perspective. He asked himself a simple yet profound question. Why am I always apologizing for just being me? It was as if a light bulb went off in his mind, illuminating a truth that had been there all along. He didn't need to apologize for existing. From that point forward, Harry made a conscious choice to stop apologizing for every little thing. He realized that his space in this world was just as valid as anyone else's, and he didn't need permission to take it. Now, when you encounter Harry, he's not going to apologize if he bumps into you. Instead, he'll crack a joke and laugh. If he accidentally knocks something over at the store, he'll chuckle and say, "Well, that's one way to make a statement." His newfound approach to life is full of humor, confidence, and self-acceptance. Harry has become a master at owning his actions with grace and charm. His quirky dance moves at family reunions are no longer something to be embarrassed about. They are now part of what makes Harry Harry. And when he expresses his thoughts a bit too loudly or boldly during dinner, he simply smiles and says, "I've earned this." It's this unapologetic embrace of who he is that has made Harry a beloved figure in his community. He shows everyone around him that it's okay to live fully, authentically, and without the constant need for approval. His family has learned to adopt his motto, "No apologies necessary." They now see Harry for what he truly is, a person who has embraced his true self and no longer feels the weight of apologizing for it. It's inspiring to watch someone so full of life and confidence, unbound by the social pressures of trying to please everyone. There's a kind of beauty in his defiance of the need to apologize for simply being himself. So the next time you find yourself about to apologize for something trivial, something that doesn't need an apology, think of Harry. Remember that sometimes the best thing you can do is laugh it off and think, I've earned this. Because if you can't be unapologetically yourself at 70, then when can you? As we wrap up today's video, I want to ask you what you've learned so far. Whether it's the importance of self-acceptance, the power of letting go of unnecessary apologies, or simply the reminder that it's okay to embrace who you are, I hope you found something that resonates with you. I would love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned today that you're planning to bring into your life moving forward? Drop your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. I truly value your insights and would love to see what changes you're making. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, share it with someone who might benefit from it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Your support means the world to us. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.